Hey there, what is up? Susan here. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are in the world. And thank you for stopping by. Lots of great things are happening with raw and real entrepreneurship. Did you know listeners are up 500%? And as we get into today's show, I have an amazing female founder. She is doing incredible things. Her brand is fast becoming a household name. She is in Target. She is selling out her direct to consumer. And you're going to hear how she went from idea to inception. And before we jump into the show, I want to share a quick message that the beginning of any great business starts with an idea. And to take that idea from something that is maybe on a piece of paper to a Canva deck to actually executing, it's hard. And as part of that hard, there are a lot of decisions that get to be made. And it's very easy as a founder to second guess yourself and to also start to listen to a lot of noise. And that's what this show is about: raw and real conversations with founders who defied the odds. They talk about their wins, they talk about their failures, they talk about their learnings. We even talk about depression, mental health, all sorts of things that you deserve to hear, because 90% of startups fail by year number 5. And my vision in life is to ensure that we change those odds. As we go into today's show, a couple of quick announcements. Number one, if you are a woman 30 plus and haven't checked out my latest venture, The Pause, I encourage you to download the app in the Play Store and the App Store. We have symptom tracking. We have incredible AI. Our agent is named Harmony. She knows what you're going through. You can converse with her about everything from not being able to sleep to doing a workout plan for you. And think of it this way: this is so many apps all in one for your mental health, your physical health, for any woman who is navigating perimenopause and menopause. This is for you. Check it out. The Pause app in the Play Store. It is fire, and we are getting rave reviews. The second thing I want to share with you is, here I am, 53 years old, and a lot of you are asking me, hey, Susan, what is going on? You look phenomenal. I am down 10 pounds of body fat. I am feeling amazing. I'm wearing clothes I haven't worn in years. And the secret is not so much a secret, is that I am using isogenics, and I am putting the new creatine in my shake every day. I'm having Bia, which is an amazing energy drink, adaptogens, and not that harsh caffeine. It's the caffeine comes from yerba mate and green tea. And I also cleanse every single Monday. And the Cleanse for Life with Isogenics is backed by science. So check it out. Go to susansly.com/trusted partners, and you can find out more. With that, let's jump into today's show. My guest from a young age had a passion for fragrances and scentscaping her home. Check that out. It's a new term. And she decided to move to LA from Louisiana and pursue a dream of being in the entertainment industry. However, she still had this whole thing brewing in the background, like, what if I could? And you fill in your own blank. What if I could, right? What if I could start a business? What if I could launch a best-selling brand? And so she decided to make some changes. Following the birth of her first child, she was unable to find fragrance products that would be transparent with ingredients and were baby safe and pet safe. So she began studying and said, you know what? I am absolutely going all in. And so she has launched Zeya with a goal of bringing clean, better for you, luxurious fragrance products into the home that are affordable and captivate the senses. As I said, she is in 700 Targets and counting. So freaking in awe of this girl. So with that, let's jump into my interview on Raw and Real Entrepreneurship with the one and only Amiee LeMaire. This is Raw and Real Entrepreneurship, the show that brings the no-nonsense truth of what is required to start, grow, and scale your business. I am your host, Susan Sly. Amiee, oh my goodness. First and foremost, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. We're both moms, different ages of moms, husbands both. Mine being a CPA, yours a VC. We've got those finance guys, and we were talking about different things we have in common as founders. And one of the things I want to just jump right in with the show, I was reading one of your quotes, which said, I am a child of the 90s. There was a freedom to explore different versions of who you could be. And growing up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, this is like pre social media days. I'm thinking, Spice Girls, like all of the epic music. What inspiration did you take from your childhood into Zeya? Because there is so much of that iconic 90s feel in the brand.
Yes. So you touched on something that's like a couple of things. So my childhood, I feel like I've always been obsessed with fragrance. Like I remember having a lemonade stand on the ninth hole of the golf course where I grew up. And so all the golfers would come and they'd buy lemonade from us. And then I saved up my pennies to buy a Macintosh Yankee candle that I thought was the coolest. And that was the beginning of my fragrance journey. My taste has certainly evolved and become more sophisticated from the Yankee Candle days. But what I loved about growing up in the 90s is there wasn't a lot of pressure to like be performative the way that I feel like this younger generation has. Like they are almost afraid to express themselves or just be silly or goofy or, relax because they're constantly on camera. And how that inspired Zayo was I was like, okay, like let's figure out a way that we can like help people relax. Like your home is your sanctuary. It's the one space that you can just completely be yourself. And so let's make scentscapes. Like I've been doing them since I was in my 20s. When I had people over and I entertained, I would always like put different scents in different rooms and people loved it. So I was like, let's make it easy for them. And then let's also bring back some of the nostalgia in the design. So our device is designed like a floppy disk. So if you remember how satisfying it was to insert a floppy disk, our scent cards are like that, where you pop it in, you can set it for a month and just really customize your scent, your space to reflect who you are.
Which is when you think about this whole concept, and I love what you said about the younger generation and not having fun. It's actually, I even think for me in Gen X, one of my intentions this year is to have more fun. And I've been sharing with the listeners, I'm doing an amazing like transformational leadership program that I go to LA like all the time. And it's like, okay, I realized Amiee, that I'm not inviting fun in because building a company, especially early stage, like that first, like, okay, we have an idea, we have a Canva deck, woohoo, let's go. And we have friends, maybe over wine, that are like, that's a great idea. You should do that. And then it gets real. Right. And you're starting creating or you're putting in like a PO for an allocation. And Jen Pelka, who founded Unfem Wines, is full disclosure for everyone listening, is one of as an angel investor, is one of my portcos. But Jen's been on the show, like putting in that initial order, like, oh my gosh, it's getting real. Um, and I realized for me that I wasn't inviting fun in. And yet I also realized when I'm having fun, I'm more productive. What about for you? Like, how do you bring fun and escape in? Because that's what your brand is all about.
It's it is hard, right? You're dealing with such serious topics all day. But I think I really enjoy the creative process, like designing the fragrances. And so that like designing different versions of the diffuser and that creative outlet is really fun for me. And then just also talking to customers. Like I talk to them every day and just get feedback from them. And so um I grew up watching my father run a small business, and I feel like that sort of permeated into my day-to-days because I like that Zaya we feel like a small business because you can pick up the phone and talk to somebody over here, but that's fun. Like just listening to feedback. But as far as like hobbies, I feel like I have none right now that are fun besides.
Well, your kids are 4 and 6, like their hobbies are your hobbies, right?
Exactly. Right. I'm like, is skincare a hobby? I don't know. I'm like,
Is
but yeah,
fundraising a hobby? I don't
right.
know.
But no, it's been a lot of fun just to watch the initial concept for the company grow into what it is today, and like how we are touching people's lives and helping them have fun. That's my goal. Help them have fun. Our
Yeah. That customer relationship, and we'll get into that, is it can be so incredible. And as part of it, it is an opportunity, especially at an early stage, to get feedback and pivot quickly. I want to ask you, going back to the lemonade stand on Ron Real Entrepreneurship, I always want to know, what was your first business? So was it the lemonade stand, or was there something else?
a good question. I think it was the lemonade stand because I was like 8. Like we were really little when we started doing that. But I think that the adults around us that were buying lemonade just found it so cute. They were so precocious and like charging like an exorbitant amount for a cup of lemonade. Um, yeah, I think it was that one. That was the first one. I feel like there was a like I was selling goldfish like snacks on the playground, but that I don't know if that was a legal business or not.
We won't. If you are the IRS and listening,
Right, right,
just go back and don't listen to that part. The
right.
when I'm talking to founders on the show, Amy, it's so interesting because almost at some point I'm going to use AI to analyze all of the show content, the hundreds of hours, because almost every single entrepreneur that comes on this show had a childhood business, and I see like resale is a big one. So it's like you reselling goldfish crackers. I've had a couple of the guys would buy candy, resell it. I had someone selling watermelon, and then my favorite was selling rattlesnakes. He is thus far the only person. And so Gregory Shepherd, check out that episode. So Gregory's family was so poor, and they were living on this like a dirt platform, and there were all these rattlesnakes in Northern California. So he would catch them and sell them to the pet store. So yes, that definitely was not a business I would have ever been interested in myself. But we see that so much with founders. There's this entrepreneurial spirit. Are you fostering entrepreneurship with your kids? And if so, what for you as a mom is so important that they learn, especially now that we're living in the AI revolution, robotics, and all of the technology that's happening?
Yeah, we definitely are just teaching our children the value of money and also the value of hard work. I feel like growing up, we were told, oh, you can achieve anything, follow your dreams. But no one ever talked about how it's okay to fail. That's a big one that we're like, you learn from failure. So, like, just try your best. And if you fail, that's okay. And then also, just for them, like, just not giving up and praising the effort as much as the outcome. It
Mhm.
has been a big part of our how we're fostering that sense of entrepreneurship. And then also we are just teaching them like how to handle money, right? That was something that I wasn't really taught. Like I taught myself, right? But it wasn't really a big part of my household growing up. And so in a structured way, so we've made it in a structured way where it's like they can earn money by doing jobs and also um, I think I really think it's like entrepreneurship is a mindset, right? It's like just not being afraid to push the boundaries, not being, oh, the problem solving aspect, because that's a big aspect of entrepreneurship. It's like teaching our children how to solve problems and look for problems to solve that you can do for other
Yes.
people.
Oh yeah, yeah. Preach that,
Hmm.
sister, because it's for those of you listening, I did the Lady Gaga mic drop. But the, that we did the same thing with our kids. So there was a job board, unload the dishwasher, sweep the kitchen, do all of those things. Each task was assigned a dollar value. And so they learned. And my kids were never the ones having the temper tantrum at the grocery store because they wanted something, or whatever, because that they knew that it wasn't gonna, nothing was gonna happen. And it's okay. And when my kids would say, I'm bored, I'd say, good, be bored, find a problem to solve, right?
Yeah.
And that raising kids, it's so, I mean, even though our kids are different generationally by 10 years, but it's so different now because there are a lot of distractions. And for you, let's get into your entrepreneurial day, because there are people listening now who are moms, who are dads, and we never want our kids to be an excuse. We want them to be a reason. What does your entrepreneurial day look like? I mean, you are in 700 plus locations, the brand is growing, you have a lot of life living. Walk us through your day.
Yes. So I have an early riser. My daughter wakes up at 6:30 every day, which maybe to some people they hear that and they're like, "That's not early," but I'm Californian now, so I'm like, "That's early for me." So we'll get up. She and I will spend time together. I protect those that first hour and a half to 2 hours with my children. I don't do meetings. I don't do anything during that time unless it's absolute emergency. And then I find I get my best work done at starting at 8:30. Like that the first 3 hours is like deep problem solving.
Mhm.
And then usually I'll try to take a walk or like move my body at some point midday and to like sort of like beat that slump in the afternoon that a lot of people get. And then in the afternoon it tends to be more of the creative work. So like designing something that's not necessarily finance, which isn't, like not my idea of fun. And I'll do that in the afternoons. And then when the clock hits 6, like it's my time for my children. Like they come home, we spend time together. And again, I protect that. And then I usually pick up because we're running the company and we're always thinking about it. I usually pick the mantle back up around 7:38 and start working again until I need to schedule time for myself. I'm like listening to my schedule. I'm like, I need to schedule some me time.
Well, that's one of the things on the show. There's a lot of self-actualizing that happens, not just for the guests, but also for me too. And that when I wrote my book, The Have It All Woman, back in, oh gosh, what year did that come out? It was like, I don't know, '07 or '08, during the recession. And my whole thing was there was this big dialogue happening, Amy, about work-life balance. And The Atlantic did an article and said, we can't have it all. And my pushback was, we can, because it's a personal definition. And it's, you come from entertainment, right? So it's like a scene in a movie or a chapter. What balance looks like to Amy right now with a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a growing business is very different than what balance looks like to Amy 10 years from now, right? And that, to your point, what is not scheduled doesn't happen. So if you were going to embrace self-care, because we were talking about this before the show, what would that look like for you?
I have been wanting to get into Pilates actually. I know it's so like, but it's such a movement right now and women are just loving it. So yeah, I know that's not very deep, but like I really want to start doing Pilates. Like maybe.
Okay, so in front of the global audience, the show will probably come out after this actually happens. You and I, let's go to Pilates. So when I'm in LA next time, let's schedule it. We'll go. I will source for us a place to go. We were talking about like Santa Monica, somewhere like that, and let's go. Are we doing mat or are we doing reformer?
Well, I want to try the reformer. It's so intimidating and I'm like excited to like jump in and do something scary. So let's do reformer.
All right, it's on. Okay, so now in front of a global audience in 140 countries, we have committed to doing Pilates Reformer. Okay, so that's, we're checking that off your box, right? And what the value of self-care. Let's talk about the landscape of raising money as a woman. So last year in the United States, less than 1% of VC funding went to women. The year before that, it was 2.4%. So we're talking about declining this year. When we're doing the show, 2025, we don't know what that number is going to be, but with interest rates the way they've been, VC firms are diminishing. So there aren't as many firms as there were in 2020, 2021. It is a very different landscape. And so let's talk in like so many people who write in about the show, they're like, we love when you talk about the raw and real truth about fundraising. So for Zeya, how did you start this company? How did you go from an idea to a prototype? That's the first question. And then at what point did raising money come into the equation?
I started the company with the concept of functional fragrance. I had gotten rid of all of the fragrance products when I got our dog and had our first baby because there's such a lack of transparency in the ingredients. So everything was out. Like all my scentscaping disappeared. And I was trying like essential oil products. They were cumbersome. You had to refill them every day. And I was like, golly, like I just want a product that's easy to use that I can set for weeks because I don't have time to mess with anything day to day and helps me to relax because you have so much anxiety as a new mom, right? The first time's stressful. And and so I took that concept and I pitched a couple of incubators, and one of them was actually connected to a large entertainment agency out here in LA. And they were like, we really love this concept. And at the time, it was like candles, and I had been tinkering with this diffuser, this new way to diffuse fragrance, because I was like, just trying to make it easy and to where
Mhm.
you could set it and forget it, and it would actually last a full month. Because that was the thing. A lot of the products claim to last a full month, and they are like 10 days. They last 10 days. And so when I brought that to them, they were like, this is the idea. Like, this is the idea. Like, let's go out. You're going to need, like, they gave me a small pre-seed check to get the idea going to create the prototype, with the goal being to go out and raise a seed round and then, you know, bring it to market. And creating the prototype was interesting. I enlisted the help once I had the idea down and it was working in my house. It was very, very ugly. And I met with a group of engineers, like industrial engineers, to make a prototype that we could mass produce. Because I was like, this is something that I feel like I did a deep dive white space analysis, and the industry actually hadn't been there hadn't been any innovation since like Febreze in the 90s, right? So the technology was designed, like the plug-in technology was developed in the 40s to mask the smell of tobacco in the home and hasn't changed since, really. I mean, there have been a couple of bells and whistles thrown on it, but essentially it's heat and a plug-in. It's heat and oil. So we worked to create this new version that doesn't use heat, that's better for you. The fragrance formulation is another story. That took me 3 years to actually get it to where it smelled luxurious, but didn't include a lot of the traditional ingredients that were endocrine disruptors, that fragrance is like often contains. And this team of engineers, we worked together for a long time. It took us about 18 months to develop the prototype, set up our supply chain, and then while all of this was happening, one of my friends introduced me to a broker who is in Minneapolis, and the broker loved the idea, loved the concept of the company. We didn't even have a working prototype. We had like a deck and and so we went in and talked to the buyer, and we were like, this is what we're building, and she was like, I really like it. She's like, come back to me when you have something, concrete. And so I sent the working prototype in, and they were like, yeah, this is great. Like, we want to do a test with you. And so we decided to launch D2C and Target simultaneously, which I would not recommend. If I were to go back and had the ability, I was like, I would not recommend it. I would say if you are listening to this and you are thinking you want to do an omni-channel approach, use the time in D2C to iterate. Use that
Mhm.
time to get to know your customers, to know their preferences. It worked out well for us, because we had instant product market fit, instant concept market fit, because it is something that I designed for like with consumers in mind, people like me. And we had a lot, we spoke to a lot of people during the process, like a lot of consumers. But yeah, I would say do D2C first and then do retail.
The I have so many questions.
I'm like, sorry, I was like all over the place with the answer.
No, it's so good. It's raw and real entrepreneurship, and we get to like most entrepreneurs, like we have ADD brain, right? That so what I'm so curious about is so you have your deck, you have your prototype. And one of the questions that in my mind is like, how did you come up with pricing? Because that's always a big thing, especially when you're creating a category within a category that doesn't exist. And for all the listeners who, if you're new to the show, a little bit of my backstory, I went to MIT Sloan and I also went to engineering school, exec ed. But one of the courses I took at Sloan was all on pricing. And as someone who had to create pricing for a product that didn't exist in the market, an AI product in my past startup, I know the pain of creating pricing for something in a category. And you're like, I don't have a reference point. Like you said, there hasn't been disruption. How the heck did you create the pricing?
Well, the product itself is so high quality. Like the oils are designed by master perfumers, like the people who make the perfumes that you pay $400 for, that's the level of oil that we're working with. But I wanted to make sure that the pricing was done in a way that everyone could afford it. So it's like a attainable luxury because we're living in a time where it's like we're being squeezed everywhere. And I was like, it shouldn't be that people who can't necessarily pay $90 for a reed diffuser are smelling poison. Like that's not fair.
Yeah.
So we worked so hard to figure out a way to like keep the pricing down. Like our refills are $8.99 to keep the pricing and the COGS, like our cost of our goods down so that the business was viable because you still have to make a profit. And
Hmm.
um and also was something that people could feel comfortable buying every month. And our diffusers are 19.99. And that again, it was just like we just worked really, really hard to make sure like we were giving a quality product for a really good price.
And with that, to get to that price, so then there's that whole immersion in unit economics and economics of scale and supply chain and gross profit and all the things the VCs want to see. So for just like a super quick masterclass, Amiee, for anyone listening who is producing like a CPG product, like a consumer packaged good, give your top three tips for creating pricing models because I think that would be so incredibly valuable to people so they can get it. Because you didn't just go, for those of you who can't see me, I'm pretending to meditate. I'm like, 1999, that makes sense. And so like what are your top tips to come up with that pricing?
It's kind of like, okay, top tips. I would say um, know who you're targeting, right? Know who you want to target with your
Yes.
audience. If you're looking for like a niche luxury product, your pricing strategy is going to be very different than if you're going for a mass audience, which is what we're going after. Um, if you are going after a mass audience and or masstige, which is kind of where we live, I you can always optimize your supply chain and like there's always the economies of scale. So I would say like go for the customer experience first and
Mm.
just do it in a way that like okay, yes, like if this ingredient is slightly more expensive for this first run because you're only buying 3,000 units go for the better quality because you need to establish your customer base first. Then as you grow, you can grow into that model because you are buying 30,000, 300,000, hopefully 3 million units eventually. And then you can improve your margins that way. And then, so yeah, that's what I would say. Like give the best product you can for the best price. And knowing your audience and then just being honest with yourself. Like I didn't have tariffs on our bingo card, right, when we launched the company. And so we're looking right now, like I really don't want to, but we're looking at a possible price increase just because one of our components comes from overseas. And it's a bummer, right? So it's just like you have to give yourself grace with pricing. It's like
Well,
sometimes,
with anything, like adapt to your terrain, right? And the terrain changes, and the things within your circle that you can control, And the things outside your circle, you can't control. You can't control a pandemic. You can't control tariffs. There's so many things you can't control. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs getting burned out about focusing on things you can't control. It's such wasted energy. But saying, okay, sometimes I'll journal, Amy, and I'll be like, okay, Susan, what can you control about this situation? Everything else you can't control, just like doesn't matter, throw it out because as CEOs, it's like we have to focus on that. Okay, let's talk about raising money to scale. So, your husband is a VC. He invests in later stage, and he gave you some advice. However, with raising money, it for me is one of the most I've pitched well over 100 VCs in multiple companies. It is for me one of it's fun, but I've had to get to fun, but it also is I feel so exposed. I can't imagine what online dating is like because I've been with my husband for 25 years and we met in high school, but so I've never had to experience that, but I just feel it's very exposing. So what advice did your husband give you that you can share with everyone listening? And what was the experience like for you when you first went out and started pitching?
I the advice he gave was very literal, like very he taught me how like I didn't know what pre-seed versus seed meant. That's how green I was to the world of like CPG. Because when a movie gets made, it's funded by a studio. It's very straightforward. But yeah, when it comes to raising money, there's a certain language, there are certain KPIs that a company needs to hit in order to be viable for a certain round. There are certain valuations that you need to hit in order to make sense for, an acquisition. So he was super instrumental in teaching me how, like, what to look for, what to aim for, and then also just how it works. What he couldn't teach me, and I'm sure he definitely tried, was that the mindset going in and understanding that. And I think it's because, like, as a woman, you're constantly taught, like, oh, be grateful for what you have. Like, just be demure, don't say anything, like, just accept it. But when you're raising money, it's the opposite. It's like you have to go in with this mindset, like, I have a treasure. We can grow this treasure together. Like, they're they have as much to gain as you do. And I
Mhm.
didn't have that mindset. It was like I was so nervous about this idea. I was like, oh, please, like, like, please, like, money. And it's like just not the right mindset when you go into pitch. It's like you have a great idea. Go take it out there and be confident. And like, VCs want you to succeed. That's the thing. It's like they want you to do well because they want to make money. So yeah, I would say, like, that was one thing that I wish I knew going into pitching was that um I had lost my train of thought. I was like, was that like, you have a great idea. You have something amazing. And why I say get D2C data before you go out to retail is that you'll likely be raising money once you have some traction D2C and then you're going into a retail thing. So you have that data. So makes it a little bit easier. You're not pitching a dream. You can literally say, look, people love it. This is why. These are the numbers. So, which is where we are now. And it's a much better place to be when it comes to raising money.
How much was if you feel like disclosing, how much was your initial round you were raising and how many VCs did you pitch to get it?
Oh my gosh. I pitched probably over 50, I would say. Yeah. And
Mhm.
oh, that's the other thing too. It's like a no or a rejection doesn't mean that you have a bad idea. It just means that they can't see your vision.
Mhm.
Or there are factors that you can't even see. Like, they can see the vision and their mandate has changed, or they're looking for a really specific business type. Like, it's just that was the other thing. I'm like, no's are not a reflection on you generally. And sometimes they are, like pitching style, right? Coming in and having this um like, I don't want to say I was insecure, but I was. Like, I was insecure the first few meetings I took because I didn't know what I was doing. I was like nervous. I'm like, it's like pitching your baby out to the world, and then you get rejected by people and you're like, oh, I guess maybe it's a bad idea. It's like, no, like, no.
Did you raise that first on a convertible note or a safe, or what was the structure of that first round?
We did a paid round for our first
Hmm.
round. Yeah.
And how much total did you raise?
2 million for our seed round.
Okay. And were you already at revenue when you raised that?
No. We did have a Target, like a business award from Target. So I honestly don't think that the landscape has changed, and that I don't know that a D2C business without any traction really moves the needle unless it's just the next huge AI thing, right? Or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
Yeah.
you have to have a road to profitability and a clear roadmap and a clear customer journey, like a clear customer and
Yeah, and we were talking about before we started the show that um and it's so fun to have this conversation because and I love your transparency, right? It's like raw and real entrepreneurship. I pitched 50 and to in order to raise that and that to be so exposed, right? Like you said, it's like say someone saying your baby is ugly, but I wrote down no means they can't see your vision. And I sometimes I think to myself that because I wear both hats, I wear a venture hat and then I wear my fundraising hat, that Amy, I sometimes think that especially in this current landscape, the scorecard has changed. And for people who don't know, if you've never pitched VCs, that because we have all types of business owners that listen, they have a scorecard. And what is the scorecard this year? Because money's more expensive, smaller check sizes, there's still a lot of AI funding. There's a bit of nerves around CPG because of tariffs, because of so you look at it and go, okay, especially as women, we have to be scrappier. What advice going through the process do you wish you would have known, especially as a female founder, that you know now?
I think that um this is going to be raw and real. I think that it's like you deserve a seat at the table. And that was something that like I think as a woman in business, we and look, I was in business in like the 2010s when it wasn't very female friendly. Like it was before the Me Too and all that. But like as a woman, you deserve to be there.
Mm,
You deserve to be there. You're smart, you're capable, like you have a great idea, like and you can execute it. And honestly, if you look at the stats, women execute CPG brands better. Like,
yeah.
sorry guys, like we just do because
Oh
we,
yeah.
we understand the customer. So
Yeah.
yeah. That's
One
the
of
only.
my one of my friends who founded Wellery, so she's also in Target. She was a VP at Target, and we were talking about it. Is just really understanding it because, especially, and to be in Target is such a huge deal. Every year, I would go to a National Retail Federation conference in my previous company, and I never missed any of the talks that Brian Cornell was doing, the CEO, because his vision, even for the employees, is so huge. And if Brian, you're listening, or anyone from HR, my vision is that the pause will be an employee benefit for all Target employees. That is going to happen. But to be in Target, it's such that business and how he runs it is absolutely incredible. We are the main consumers, and I can't remember exactly what percentage of shoppers at Target are women, but it's so high, right? And to your point, Amy, who knows it better? I do want to ask you that this concept of entrepreneurial failure. We're talking 90% of startups fail. And yet here you are with Zeya, you are slaying from the outside world looking in, plus you're raising kids, plus, right? How do you look at setting milestones for the company, especially going into territory that you haven't yet taken? Like the question really is, Amy, how do you approach challenges that you're like, okay, that's a goal, and my investors want to see us achieve that goal, those milestones, but I've never done that before in my life. How do you manage to do that?
I think that as an entrepreneur, you have to have like an unlimited amount of tenacity. Because for me, like goal setting, it's not like, oh, maybe we can do it. Maybe it's like we will. You have to go in with that mindset that you will. Like, feel you can't let other people's failures distract you. And you also can't be afraid of failure. So like you go in, let's say you don't hit the goal, but you do everything you can too. You've learned something. The company improves because of it, because you're able to glean information, make a different decision next time, pivot to a direction like we and it's the same with us. Like we're constantly learning. We get customer feedback, we pivot, we make something better. We like yeah, it's just like you can't go in with the mindset like, oh, maybe we'll be the 90%. I think you have to have this like not delusional,
Yeah.
but like this sort of like distortion field when you have an idea that you are going to be successful because you have the greatest idea of all time. And whether that's true or not, like time will tell. But you also have to just put the work behind it and not be afraid
I
to not.
think you do have to be delusional. And I'm laughing because one of my friends, he calls me, my nickname is the delusional one, because in my past company selling something that didn't exist in the market, he was like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, oh, we just are. Like,
Yeah.
I'll figure out a way. I'm scrappy. We will get that. We'll get that sorted out. I think when we go to Pilates, we should have t-shirts that say delusional.
Yes.
You know what? I am 100% going on Amazon for that. I'm writing that down.
I love it.
Amy, how do you handle like when you have wall kicking moments? Because we have them, like whether, you mentioned tariffs, or it could be supply chain, or it could be, whatever you think a customer is going to order X number of units and the order ends up being smaller because they're constricting on budgets, like whatever, all the stuff you would deal with. How do you handle those moments?
Is it the stress aspect of it or
Yeah.
well, not well. I don't think anyone I think that we're so early in our journey. I mean, we launched 3 months ago, so I'm still at the stage where I feel everything really intensely.
Hmm.
And I have friends who are business owners and they're operating huge companies and they're 11 or 12 years in and they look at me and they're like, "Oh, Amy, like it passes. Like you're gonna feel it all right now, but like that feeling is like you're gonna get used to it and then you're just gonna keep pushing through." But I quit drinking alcohol because I found like I was like running a company, like it's not helpful for me. So I quit that and I started a fitness journey, which has helped. Just like going for walks and getting sunshine is
Mm.
so helpful. So you have this moment of just like overwhelming stress. You have this huge problem you have to solve. For me, when I'm doing something where my body's a bit distracted, I problem solve better. So that's what I do. Like whenever I hit a wall, um, and you just keep thinking, like you keep thinking, you keep working, I talk to everybody. So I have a group of people who are great advisors. So like when I do get into those situations where I'm just like, I have no idea what to do, I turn to people who have been in the business for 30 years and just say, hey, like I'm here, I'm stuck. And that's why I think like mentors are so important, or even just like friends who have been through what you're going through. It's so important. But yeah, the physical, the mental, those are the two things I do.
Yeah, I love that because we have to, as entrepreneurs, we have to come out of it fast. Like, we cannot say, oh, yes, I am going to have a pity party for a month. It doesn't work like that. We've got maybe 5, 10 minutes. So, going for walks, not drinking, the exercise, and now we're adding Pilates to this regime. That, for years, I did uh, personal development speaking, and I was doing one multi-speaker event with Tony Robbins, and Tony said, that when he would have that wall kicking moment, he'd go and be like angry for like a couple weeks.
Mhm.
And then he realized how much it was costing him. And then he's like, okay, I'm giving myself a day. And then he's
Mhm.
like, I'm giving myself 2 hours. I'm giving myself an hour, 5 minutes. Like, and 5 minutes was, and I took that, Amy, and I went, I'm going to adopt that. So when something happens, I've got 5 minutes and that's it. And that even is a luxury because what could I do in that other 4 minutes? And now I'm being challenged to do 20 seconds.
Hmm. I completely misunderstood the question. When you said wall kicking, you mean like the frustration dealing with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
I thought you meant like when you get to a problem that you don't know how to solve. So I think to answer your question, actually answer it, the frustration, that flare that you get, um, yeah, I maybe I need to listen to Tony Robbins because it is so frustrating. But then you have to sit there and like take yourself out of it. I think it was Warren Buffett actually that said if you stop reacting emotionally and start reacting logically, like you can do anything. And so like for me, I'm like when these super frustrating things happen, I just like take, like you said, 2 minutes, 25 seconds. It's just like, okay, like how are we going to solve it? Like, let's just go. Because I
Yeah.
don't like I don't even allow myself to feel the frustration anymore because it's just pointless. As an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you're going to feel it. I mean, you can, some days you'll feel it 20 times a day. And if you sit there and wallow in that feeling, you'll get nothing done.
No, especially when to that, the conversation around raising money, right? You're gonna have VCs. They often don't reject you. We've done talked about this on the show. They send you like,
Close.
oh, you
Yeah.
just it's not a fit with our thesis, or whatever they say, a bunch of stuff, or anyway, whatever. That piece around you have to come back really quickly. And I think even the strategies you gave, those are also huge, like to be able to do that. My final question for you with regard to Zeya, like walk us through that customer experience. And for everyone listening, we'll put a link to purchase in the show notes, and the different sense, like talk about the product.
Sure. Yeah. So we launched with two colors for the diffuser. We did a an antique white. We actually have one if you guys are watching.
Yeah.
Antique white, it's like a floppy
So
disk.
pretty.
And you can mount it. So that's the thing, it's dripless. You can put it underneath a kitchen cabinet or coffee table or something. You want to hide it if it's not your style. So we launched with the 4 cents, and they basically were designed in a way that you probably won't like all of them, but you'll definitely find at least one that you like or love. Like, and they are all designed to be used in harmony. So it's and they're designed to be used in stages of life. So we have welcome, conversation, third date vibes, and epilogue. So it's all meant to be like action oriented, right? It's like you want people to feel happy in your house. You want to set the mood for a party. You put in conversation. Um, and then the customer, generally, what we're seeing is they'll buy the sampler set, which comes with one diffuser and all 4 cents. They'll try what they like, and then they tend to add in a few more diffusers, and then the scent that they like, they'll order a bunch of cards. And then I want to start doing recipes for people, like scentscaping recipes. It's on my
Mm,
list to like start having our team create. Because yeah, the idea is like to allow people to set their home with their scentscape in a way that supports their wellness goal. So like if it's
mm.
productivity, put epilogue in the bedroom to help you sleep, put conversation in your office to help you concentrate. Um, yeah. So that's the goal with the product, and I think that's the way that customers are using it.
Yeah, I already think there's a friend of mine who definitely gets to experience third date vibes. That's so perfect. She's doing a lot of dating now, which is fun. And my vision, my favorite thing to do in the morning, every morning. I've never said this on the show, so everyone gets to experience this. Every morning I sage my house.
Okay.
So I order California sage. I sage my house. I love the smell of sage. It's very calming to me. And I'm like, okay, after I do that, pray, meditate, drink my coffee, I'm exercise, I'm ready to go. So um, I don't know. My vision is RTG, like ready to go is the sense. I don't know what that is, but it's like,
Maybe
let's
it's
go.
saved.
Let's go. Let's make money. Let's change lives. Let's RTG it. So yes. Or
Yes, do it.
delusional. One called delusional
Right? I
for
think you're
entrepreneurs.
on.
Well,
Yeah.
Amiee, it's been amazing to get to know you, and thank you for being on the show. Everyone listening, we want to hear comments, give a shout out on social, order your Zeya. Like, I can't believe the price point. It's amazing. And Amiee, I'm excited to do Pilates, sister. So let's go.
Right. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. To everyone listening, just want to say God bless, go rock your day, check out previous episodes, and I will see you in the next episode of Raw and Real Entrepreneurship.